Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
A businessman who buys or sells for another in exchange for a commission. Genetics. A segment of DNA that is involved in producing a polypeptide chain. It can include regions preceding and following the coding DNA as well as introns between the exons. It is considered a unit of heredity. Genes were formerly called factors. An abstract part of something. A key factor in her success. One of two or more integers that can be exactly divided into another integer. What are the four factors of 6? Consider as relevant when making a decision. You must factor in the recent developments. Resolve into factors. A quantum computer can factor the number 15. An independent variable in statistics. Any of the numbers, or symbols, that form a product when multiplied together. Anything that contributes causally to a result. A number of factors determine the outcome. Be a contributing factor. Make things factor into a company's profitability. The semantic role of the animate entity that instigates or causes the happening denoted by the verb in the clause. A businessman who buys or sells for another in exchange for a commission. Any agent or representative of a federal agency or bureau. An active and efficient cause, capable of producing a certain effect. Their research uncovered new disease agents. A representative who acts on behalf of other persons or organizations. A substance that exerts some force or effect. A businessman who buys or sells for another in exchange for a commission. Act as a broker. Genetics. A segment of DNA that is involved in producing a polypeptide chain. It can include regions preceding and following the coding DNA as well as introns between the exons. It is considered a unit of heredity. Genetics. A segment of DNA that is involved in producing a polypeptide chain. It can include regions preceding and following the coding DNA as well as introns between the exons. It is considered a unit of heredity. Genes were formerly called factors. An artifact that is one of the individual parts of which a composite entity is made up, especially a part that can be separated from or attached to a system. Spare components for cars. An abstract part of something. Jealousy was a component of his character. Something determined in relation to something that includes it. The smaller component is hard to reach. An artifact that is one of the individual parts of which a composite entity is made up, especially a part that can be separated from or attached to a system. A component or constituent element of a system. An abstract part of something. Two constituents of a musical composition are melody and harmony. Something determined in relation to something that includes it. The animal constituent of plankton. Constitutional in the structure of something, especially your physical makeup. Grammar. A word or phrase or clause forming part of a larger grammatical construction. A member of a constituency. A citizen who is represented in a government by officials for whom he or she votes. Needs continued support by constituents to be re-elected. An artifact that is one of the individual parts of which a composite entity is made up, especially a part that can be separated from or attached to a system. A component or constituent element of a system. Any of the more than 100 known substances, of which 92 occur naturally, that cannot be separated into simpler substances and that singly or in combination constitute all matter. An abstract part of something. The grammatical elements of a sentence. A straight line that generates a cylinder or cone. One of four substances thought in ancient and medieval cosmology to constitute the physical universe. The alchemists believed that there were four elements. The most favorable environment for a plant or animal. Water is the element of fishes. The situation in which you are happiest and most effective. In your element. Food that is a component of a mixture in cooking. An abstract part of something. Humor. An effective ingredient of a speech. A component of a mixture or compound. One of two or more integers that can be exactly divided into another integer. The number by which a dividend is divided. Consider as relevant when making a decision. You must factor in the recent developments. Resolve into factors. Consider as relevant when making a decision. Resolve into factors. Conforming to the standards and conventions of the middle class. A bourgeois mentality. A capitalist who engages in industrial commercial enterprise. A member of the middle class. According to Marxist thought, being of the property-owning class and exploitive of the working class. Belonging to the middle class. A capitalist who engages in industrial commercial enterprise. Film consisting of a succession of related shots that develop a given subject in a movie. A following of one thing after another in time. The doctor saw a sequence of patients. The action of following in order. He played the trumps in sequence. Arrange in a sequence. Determine the order of constituents in. They sequenced the human genome. Serial arrangement in which things follow in logical order or a recurrent pattern. The sequence of names was alphabetical. Several repetitions of a melodic phrase in different keys. The effort contributed by a person in bringing about a result. The actions and activities assigned to or required or expected of a person or group. The government must do its part. To some extent, in some degree, not wholly. I felt partly to blame. Assets belonging to or due to or contributed by an individual person or group. A portion of a natural object. They analyzed the river into 3 parts. Something less than the whole of a human artifact. The rear part of the house. One of the portions into which something is regarded as divided and which together constitute a whole. The written part of the exam. Discontinue an association or relation. Go different ways. The business partners broke over a tax question. The melody carried by a particular voice or instrument in polyphonic music. He tried to sing the tenor part. Force, take, or pull apart. Moses parted the Red Sea. An item that is an instance of some type. My dog swallowed a Lego part. A line of scalp that can be seen when sections of hair are combed in opposite directions. His part was right in the middle. Leave. The extended spatial location of something. Religions in all parts of the world. Go one's own way. Move apart. The friends separated after the party. Something determined in relation to something that includes it. He wanted to feel a part of something bigger than himself. An actor's portrayal of someone in a play. She played the part of Desdemona. Come apart. That which concerns a person with regard to a particular role or situation. It requires vigilance on our part. A self-contained part of a larger composition, written or musical. He always turns first to the business section. A specialized division of a large organization. She got a job in the historical section of the Treasury. The cutting of or into body tissues or organs, especially by a surgeon as part of an operation. Geometry, the area created by a plane cutting through a solid. One of the portions into which something is regarded as divided and which together constitute a whole. The finance section of the company. A small class of students who are part of a larger course but are taught separately. A graduate student taught sections for the professor's lecture course. Divide into segments. One of several parts or pieces that fit with others to constitute a whole object. A section of a fishing rod. A distinct region or subdivision of a territorial or political area or community or group of people. No section of the nation is more ardent than the South. A division of an orchestra containing all instruments of the same class. A land unit equal to 1 square mile. A segment of a citrus fruit. He ate a section of the orange. A small army unit usually having a special function. A small team of policemen working as part of a police platoon. A very thin slice, of tissue or mineral or other substance, for examination under a microscope. Sections from the left ventricle showed diseased tissue. A group of ships of similar type. One of the portions into which something is regarded as divided and which together constitute a whole. The BBC's engineering division. The act of dividing or partitioning. Separation by the creation of a boundary that divides or keeps apart. Discord that splits a group. A league ranked by quality. A unit of the United States Air Force usually comprising 2 or more wings. An administrative unit in government or business. An arithmetic operation that is the inverse of multiplication. The quotient of 2 numbers is computed. An army unit large enough to sustain combat. 2 infantry divisions were held in reserve. Biology. A group of organisms forming a subdivision of a larger category. Botany. Taxonomic unit of plants corresponding to a phylum. The act or process of dividing. Any of the natural numbers, positive or negative, or 0. Any of the natural numbers, positive or negative, or 0. An integer is a number that is not a fraction. Show consideration for. Take into account. You must consider her age. Give careful consideration to. Consider the possibility of moving. Judge or regard. Look upon, judge. Look at carefully, study mentally. Think about carefully, weigh. They considered the possibility of a strike. Look at attentively. Take into consideration for exemplifying purposes. Deem to be. I consider her to be shallow. Regard or treat with consideration, respect, and esteem. Please consider your family. A branch of knowledge. Anthropology is the study of human beings. Give careful consideration to. Applying the mind to learning and understanding a subject, especially by reading. No schools offer graduate study in interior design. Attentive consideration and meditation. Preliminary drawing for later elaboration. Think intently and at length, as for spiritual purposes. He is meditating in his study. Learn by reading books. He is studying geology in his room. A detailed critical inspection. A written document describing the findings of some individual or group. This accords with the recent study by Hill and Dale. Be a student of a certain subject. Consider in detail and subject to an analysis in order to discover essential features or meaning. A composition intended to develop one aspect of the performer's technique. A study in spiccato bowing. A room used for reading and writing and studying. He knocked lightly on the closed door of the study. A state of deep mental absorption. She is in a deep study. Be a student. Follow a course of study. Be enrolled at an institute of learning. Someone who memorizes quickly and easily, as the lines for a part in a play. He is a quick study. Have faith or confidence in. Judge to be probable. Take account of. You have to reckon with our opponents. Expect, believe, or suppose. Deem to be. Make a mathematical calculation or computation. Work out in detail. Find the solution to a problem or question, or understand the meaning of. Come up with. Do physical exercise. Give a workout to. Make a mathematical calculation or computation. Be calculated. The fees work out to less than $1,000. Happen in a certain way, leading to, producing, or resulting in a certain outcome, often well. Predict in advance. Have faith or confidence in. Specifically design a product, event, or activity for a certain public. Judge to be probable. Keep an account of. Make a mathematical calculation or computation. A mathematical element that when added to another number yields the same number. A secret method of writing. Convert ordinary language into code. A message written in a secret code. A quantity of no importance. A person of no influence. Make a mathematical calculation or computation. Make a mathematical calculation or computation. A mathematical element that when added to another number yields the same number. A secret method of writing. Convert ordinary language into code. A message written in a secret code. A quantity of no importance. A person of no influence. Make a mathematical calculation or computation. One of the elements that collectively form a system of numeration. Judge to be probable. Be or play a part of or in. Elections figure prominently in every government program. A diagram or picture illustrating textual material. A decorative or artistic work. The property possessed by a sum or total or indefinite quantity of units or individuals. The figure was about 1,000. A well-known or notable person. She is an important figure in modern music. Alternative names for the body of a human being. Imagine. Conceive of. See in one's mind. Language used in a figurative or non-literal sense. Make a mathematical calculation or computation. A combination of points and lines and planes that form a visible palpable shape. A model of a bodily form, especially of a person. He made a figure of Santa Claus. An amount of money expressed numerically. A figure of $17 was suggested. A predetermined set of movements in dancing or skating. She made the best score on compulsory figures. A unitary percept having structure and coherence that is the object of attention and that stands out against a ground. The impression produced by a person. He cut a fine figure. Understand. He didn't figure her. Statistics. A variable whose values are independent of changes in the values of other variables. Statistics. A variable whose values are independent of changes in the values of other variables.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.